I think that when you are famous, every weakness is exaggerated. Respect is one of life's greatest treasures. I mean, what does it all add up to if you don't have that? I won't be satisfied until people want to hear me sing without looking at me. Of course, that doesn't mean I want them to stop looking. I'm one of the world's most self-conscious people. I really have to struggle. Fame is fickle, and I know it. It has its compensations, but it also has its drawbacks, and I've experienced them both. Sometimes I feel my whole life has been one big rejection. I think that sexuality is only attractive when it's natural and spontaneous. A man is more frank and sincere with his emotions than a woman. We girls, I'm afraid, have a tendency to hide our feelings. My work is the only ground I've ever had to stand on. I seem to have a whole superstructure with no foundation, but I'm working on the foundation. I'm one of the world's most self-conscious people. I really have to struggle. I don't consider myself an intellectual, and this is not one of my aims, but I admire intellectual people. I'm a failure as a woman. My men expect so much of me, because of the image they've made of me, and that I've made of myself as a sex symbol. They expect bells to ring and whistles to whistle, but my anatomy is the same as any other woman's, and I can't live up to it. It's far better to be unhappy alone than unhappy with someone, so far. I don't know who invented high heels, but all women owe him a lot. Before marriage, a girl has to make love to a man to hold him. After marriage, she has to hold him to make love to him. I've never fooled anyone. I've let people fool themselves. They didn't bother to find out who and what I was. Instead, they would invent a character for me. I wouldn't argue with them. They were obviously loving somebody I wasn't. It's not true that I had nothing on. I had the radio on. I love to do the things the censors won't pass. I let them think about what they want when it comes down to it. If they care enough to bother with what I do, then I'm already better than them. I don't mind making jokes, but I don't want to look like one. I knew I belonged to the public and to the world, not because I was talented or even beautiful, but because I had never belonged to anything or anyone else. It's often just enough to be with someone. I don't need to touch them, not even talk. A feeling passes between you both. You're not alone. Dogs never bite me, just humans. Most men judge your importance in their lives by how much you can hurt them. I don't forgive people because I'm weak. I forgive them because I am strong enough to know people make mistakes. The public scares me, but people I trust. I have always been deeply terrified to really be someone's wife, since I know from life one cannot love another, ever, really. Anything's possible, almost. This is supposed to be an art form, not just a manufacturing establishment. The sensitivity that helps me to act, you see, also makes me react. An actor is supposed to be a sensitive instrument. It's not too much fun to know yourself too well or think you do. Everyone needs a little conceit to carry them through and past the falls. In life, it is rather a determination not to be overwhelmed. For work, the truth can only be recalled, never invented. Men are climbing to the moon, but they don't seem interested in the beating human heart. It takes a smart brunette to play a dumb blonde. Acting isn't something you do. Instead of doing it, it occurs. If you're going to start with logic, you might as well give up. You can have conscious preparation, but you have unconscious results. I love a natural look in pictures. I like people with a feeling one way or another. It shows an inner life. I like to see that there's something going on inside them. In spite of everything, life is not without hope. A girl doesn't need anyone that doesn't need her. The body is meant to be seen, not all covered up. All we demanded was our right to twinkle. All a girl really wants is for one guy to prove to her that they are not all the same. I don't stop when I'm tired. I only stop when I'm done. Sex is part of nature. I go along with nature. How wrong it is for a woman to expect the man to build the world she wants, rather than to create it herself. Keep smiling, because life is a beautiful thing and there's so much to smile about. Boys think girls are like books. If the cover doesn't catch their eye, they won't bother to read what's inside. Just because you fail once doesn't mean you're going to fail at everything. You might as well make yourself fly as to make yourself love. That's the way you feel when you're beaten inside. You don't feel angry at those who have beaten you. You just feel ashamed. Always remember to smile and look up at what you got in life. Looking back, I guess I used to play act all the time. For one thing, it meant I could live in a more interesting world than the one around me. Maybe I'll never be able to do what I hope to, but at least I have hope. Men are always ready to respect anything that bores them. I have often stood silent at a party for hours listening to my movie idols turn into dull and little people. I am not a victim of emotional conflicts. I am human. Millions of people live their entire lives without finding themselves, but it is something I must do. For those who are poor in happiness, each time is a first time. Happiness never becomes a habit. A woman can't be alone. She needs a man. A man and a woman support and strengthen each other. She just can't do it by herself. I always felt insecure in the way, but most of all I felt scared. I guess I wanted love more than anything else in the world. If I'm a star, then the people made me a star. Creativity has got to start with humanity, and when you're a human being, you feel, you suffer. Success makes so many people hate you. I wish it wasn't that way. It would be wonderful to enjoy success without seeing envy in the eyes of those around you. Fame will go by, and so long, I've had you, fame. If it goes by, I've always known it was fickle. First, I'm trying to prove to myself that I'm a person. Then maybe I'll convince myself that I'm an actress. This life is what you make it. No matter what, you're going to mess up sometimes. It's a universal truth. But the good part is you get to decide how you're going to mess it up. With fame, you can read about yourself, somebody else's ideas about you. But what's important is how you feel about yourself, for survival and living day to day with what comes up. I want to grow old without facelifts. I want to have the courage to be loyal to the face I've made. Sometimes I think it would be easier to avoid old age, to die young, but then you'd never complete your life, would you? You'd never wholly know you.